You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
My friends, 2017 is going to be freaking awesome because it's going to be full of a whole lot of fun and brand new experiences. And I'd love to share these with you on Twitter at When's World Radio, WENZ World Radio. A brand new When's World awaits, an early New Year's edition. Enjoy. Yes, I hope everybody in my KLRN radio family had an amazing Christmas. You know, Christmas season comes and goes so fast, along with all the songs we sing every December. One of the songs kind of makes me wonder what the writer was really thinking about when he wrote it. The name of the song is Baby It's Cold Outside. It's a song about a man and a woman, alone. Let's say it's set in a cabin in the woods, with nobody else around. I call it the date rape song. I think what the writer really meant could be expressed better, so we thought we'd redo it. Here it is, Baby It's Cold Outside, the remix.
I really can't stay.
But baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go away.
Are those roofies kicking in yet? I mean,
this evening has been.
You should really be sleepy by now.
So very nice.
You'll probably never leave this log cabin.
My mother will start to worry.
I already broke your phone.
Father will be pacing the floor.
You'll probably never see him again.
So really, I'd better scurry.
Please don't hurry.
Maybe just a half a drink more.
Well, then I'll make it a double.
Neighbors might think.
I really don't have any neighbors. I killed them all.
Say, what's in this drink?
That's just an Alka-Seltzer in the bottom.
I wish I knew how.
Are you sleepy yet?
To break the spell.
I say, are you on birth control?
I ought to say no.
You know, no means yes in some cultures.
At least I'm gonna say that I tried.
If you hurt my pride, I'll slit your damn throat.
I really can't stay.
You're not going to be able to escape.
But it's cold outside. I've got to get home.
But you'll freeze out there.
Say, lend me your coat.
I already told you, you're not leaving. Stop asking.
You've really been grand.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Why don't you see?
Have I shown you all my skin lamps?
There's bound to be talk tomorrow.
You're not going to remember a thing.
At least there will be plenty implied.
It's all about the implication.
I really can't stay.
Finally, you're passing out.
Ah, but it's cold outside.
But in your dreams, whatever they be.
Welcome to When's World. It's weird science time.
Oh, yeah, it's weird science time. And, of course, we bring our friend from Reasons to Believe, Dr. Jeff Zweerink. Welcome back to When's World, Jeff. How are you?
Hi, Joey. It's good to be here today.
Oh, man, so good to have you back. In case you're wondering what Zweerink's street cred is, he's an astrophysicist and a research scholar and executive director of online learning at Reasons to Believe. You can find them online, reasons.org, and on Twitter at RTB_official. So, Dr. Zweerink, I love this subject of dreaming a little dream, and perhaps by using magnetic resonance imaging, also known as an MRI, to communicate with those who in real life can't actually communicate. Maybe those of us who have family members or loved ones that can't speak, can't move. Maybe they're extremely elderly, but the human brain shows their thought life. And what an amazing opportunity to kind of insert ourselves in some capacity into their thought life.
I just find this a fascinating idea. I mean, just even the use of the magnetic resonance imaging, or the MRI, is. I remember back in high school when I was working on a science project and I was able to go to a particular talk. I very vividly remember this guy showing maps of a brain and how using this magnetic resonance imaging, you could get images of what areas of the brain were lighting up when certain things happen. And the idea that almost 20, 30 years later, we're now beginning to probe and be able to say, oh, when this happens, that means this person's thinking about this, or these sorts of images are in the mind. I find that just very fascinating. So this is just kind of a cool technology just from my end in that vein.
If we do have the ability to see what people are thinking through this new technology, and it would give us some ability to communicate with them, right? So, for instance, in some capacity, if I were to spray you with a bottle of water while you were dreaming, maybe there's an opportunity in your dream for you to feel that water in some capacity. So perhaps I could speak into your dream and we can communicate in that capacity. Is that where we're going with this kind of technology, or is it going in a slightly different direction?
No, I think that's what they're trying to do. I mean, there's two aspects of that. One is, you could imagine somebody like Stephen Hawking, who has the ability to think and a very coherent mind, but also does not have, or has very limited physical capacity to communicate.
Right.
Or, I also think of that movie Awakenings, where people are kind of catatonic, but yet they're also aware. If from the images in their brain we could understand what's going on, that would give them an ability to communicate with us. And that just opens up whole vistas of things that are just very difficult to deal with, where now we can just hear them. I mean, giving them a voice where they can communicate would be very powerful, of just knowing how to help them, how to interact with them, help them to grow and to become, or to achieve the potential and who God's created them to be.
That's good stuff. And in case you're just joining us, we are with astrophysicist Dr. Jeff Zweerink of Reasons to Believe. And you can connect with Dr. Jeff Zweerink on Twitter, and that's at RTB_JZWEERINK. And we're talking about the capacity to look at somebody's dreams on a screen using magnetic resonance imaging, or just better known as an MRI. And we were talking about communicating with somebody like Stephen Hawking, right, who can't actually talk, but he speaks through a machine. And when we were dreaming, say 7 to 8 hours of us being in a dreamlike state, that would also give us some ability to kind of possibly in the future work through some issues. And I know we were talking before air, and I know that I get anxiety when I'm around a ton of different people. I know it's kind of hard to believe because I have a radio show, but this is the perfect environment for me because I can go behind a closed door, turn on a mic, and nobody sees me sweat. So I think that's right. the beauty in that. But this could also work for people whose dreams kind of show up, whose issues rather show up in their dreams. So maybe some childhood trauma, maybe some family issues, issues with post-traumatic stress disorder, and treating it in that capacity. Do you see this technology is kind of going down that avenue as well, or?
Well, it seems like it has some potential there. And, there's kind of an open question of how much can we actually influence what somebody's dreaming about? Could we induce somebody to have a dream about those situations which kind of induce panic or anxiety?
Right.
But if there's a way to do that, and that seems kind of reasonable to me, I don't know what the actual answer is, but assuming you can do that, well, now you could begin to allow that person to work through that situation multiple times, maybe try something, oh, that didn't work, come back at it, try again, figure out what works, and then, kind of like the quarterback who just throws, a million passes, eventually they just figure out how to deal with that anxiety-inducing situation in a way that they're not crippled by the anxiety. So I think that would just be a tremendous breakthrough and very helpful to a great number of people. Yeah, I could see that anxiety. I could see that addictions. I could see that all sorts of issues that are difficult to deal with, where you get to kind of think through and work through and get the process in place and get those habits in place, kind of get that muscle memory so that when you're now in the environment, instead of something bad happening, you're able to kind of attack it and approach it and deal with it in a very constructive way.
Now, we've talked about a couple of the positive consequences of this technology, but what are some of the negative things that you could maybe see happening coming from this technology?
Well, I mean, the two that, as cool and as fascinating as this sounds, somebody being able to look in my mind and actually get what I see and think about. I tell people a lot of time that, I spend a lot of energy trying to get what goes on in my mind to communicate it in a socially acceptable way. And, I think about things, and what I find fascinating, other people might find disturbing or troubling. And it's not that I'm weird or deranged. It's just, there's a way that I think, and I can see something that has tremendous power and just appreciate that, but also, recognize that there may be great damage that caused out of that. And so now to see all the imagery going on in my mind and what I'm thinking, you would now get that all unfiltered, which, I've kind of learned how to filter it. I know how to think about it, or I know what's going on when I'm thinking about it. Now you're getting just that raw data, and it would be susceptible to abuse. You think if there's some socially unacceptable way of thinking, and now you can see, they're thinking that way. I could just see great abuses in that fashion. I also see another problem in that people could get to where, rather than live in reality, they want to live off in the dream world.
Yeah, can you blame them?
There's a lot of tough things. There are people who've just kind of decided, hey, I don't want to live here anymore. I've lived and enjoyed enough, and now I want to die. There's always difficult things, and if the growing tendency to escape, if we make escape too easily, then a lot of people are going to escape. I don't know if you saw that movie Inception, but that was one very poignant part where, you can live in these dream states, and there were people who would just go live in the dreams for hours and days on end, because the real world was too difficult to deal with. To say that just doesn't strike me as a good thing if we've got even a significantly small fraction of the population that lives that way.
Yeah, and of course there's always that scene in The Matrix where they're able to kind of plug in or unplug depending on how you see that film and live in that controlled environment where things are safe, and when it gets too real, quote unquote, they can get back to the reality that they used to know. Yeah,
as I look at that, even just from a Christian, I see that very often the things that God's calling me to do are very difficult or can be very difficult, and I have to always face that choice. Am I going to enter what he's asked, or am I going to go escape somewhere?
Right.
Well, the more options there are for escape, the harder it is to make the right choice of living where God's put me. And so, not that I want to poo-poo technology or stuff. I think there's some great opportunities here, but I also see some pretty large abuses that could happen if we're not careful. And, running away from reality is one of those, and we tend to do that as a people pretty easily. So.
Man, this is such good stuff. And just going back to your comment about our thought lives, I've always said this, and I stand by it. If people could read other people's minds, there would be no lasting marriage, friendship, or anything sustainable as far as it pertains to my relationship with other people in this world. So, there's that.
I agree. My wife and I spend a lot of time, even when we can talk, we misunderstand each other. And so we spend a lot of time just trying to work and making sure that we actually understand each other. And, I'm very, very much aware that we think very differently. But, for the advantages it has, I'd also be kind of leery about people knowing or being able to see what's going on inside my head. Without any sort of filter or understanding. On the other side of that, it may force us to actually get to know people better and genuinely understand them better, and that would be a very good thing.
I love how you took that and looked at it big picture-wise. That's why we bring the experts here to When's World, because, hey, we need it. Always a pleasure to have Dr. Jeff Zweerink. He's an astrophysicist with our good friends at Reasons to Believe. You got to connect with him on Twitter at RTB_JZWEERINK. Dr. Zweerink, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for the invitation, Joey. It was always a pleasure.
This is Larry WACHS of the world-famous WACHS Modcast, Atlanta's #1 smartphone radio show on iTunes and Google Play. But that's nothing compared to When's World.
So what's been going on?
Well, wrapping up the year. It's been the best year of my life.
Wow.
2016. I like 2016 also. It's going to end on a really significant note that the Hanukkah and the Christmas is at the same time.
Is it not always like that?
No. Sometimes Hanukkah, I think, ranges from like July to December because the Hebrew calendar is off. It's not in sync. But now our cults, look at this, Joey. Our cults are in sync together.
About time, right?
Yeah. What a year. You know, so much going on. And then it ends with like the two biggest religions in the world, the two best ones, quite frankly, coming together at the same time.
It's encouraging. I definitely think that's going to help bring in the new year the right way.
You watch, it's going to help humanity.
New president, brand new cabinet.
Fresh start.
Fresh start. Operation Fresh Start underway.
Right. Larry WACHS will be back on broadcast radio in Atlanta, Georgia in 2017. So it's all coming together.
Like it.
Mm-hmm. Chew on that, Rodney Ho. Chew on that. But, yeah, so I'm all ready for the nice winter holiday season. I got my extra 10 pounds of body fat secured on my person.
In all the right places, I might add.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my belly settling in nicely for the winter. So you got to have that body fat. It's just nature's way. You can't be paleo. You can't do all that crap during the winter holiday season. It's time for rest, soothing. Just wreck yourself, and then you can heal yourself in the new year.
Just in time for those resolutions that will probably not be so resolute on.
Well, yeah, but people trap themselves with those stupid resolutions. They just they don't manage their expectations. And they go full force January 1st into like a Navy SEALs fitness program. So, no, the leaning season starts March 1st. It doesn't start in January where it's still cold. You're still in the winter. You got to ease back in. Now, it's not a bad idea to start your new fitness program, which I'm doing in the first week of January. Makes sense. But you got to ramp back up. Like have one session of exercise a week and then start to slowly pare back your foods.
Yeah, that'd be the crawl before the walk.
That's right. That's right. Because it's still winter. It's still cold. Your body still wants that body fat to fend off predators and keep warm. It's just the natural way of things.
And the cannibals also.
The cannibals. Well, I think the cannibals like if I'm a cannibal, I want a well-marbled human. Would you rather eat a male or a female if you're a cannibal?
Probably a female because their skin is softer, less hairy.
If you're a male cannibal eating a male human, does that make you gay in their culture?
Probably. Depends on which part you eat.
Yeah. Now, if you were eaten by a cannibal, like if you were in a cannibal village and you're about to be eaten, what would you tell the cannibals? Like, what's your best part? What should they focus on?
If I was surrounded
what's the best meat?
By 5 young cannibals, I would probably say the thigh.
You would recommend cannibals eat your thigh meat? Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's tough, but it's rewarding.
Have you eaten it yourself? Have you tried? Have you bitten yourself? Has somebody bitten you? Or?
No, but I have some soft inner thighs because I never do the true aerobic workout.
Are your thighs like more for slow cooking or grilling, or what's?
Probably a good cut of meat for the foreman.
Foreman grill?
Yeah, the foreman grill.
So it's more of a grilling kind of... I don't know. The thighs are kind of tougher and...
Maybe a slow cooker would be a better bet then.
Like on chicken, I know thighs are better slow cooked than grilled. I mean, not always, but sometimes it's possible.
Well, I guess it depended on how much time they have. You know, if they're extremely hungry and impatient, then sure, pull out the foreman. But if you got all day, there's some football on, you can sit back, relax, and set it and forget it, then maybe the slow cooker's best.
Yeah, maybe it's not often that a specimen such as you comes along, wherever they live. I don't know where they live. I'm guessing jungles.
Sure.
Jungle terrain.
Yeah, the Amazon.
Yeah, they're not in the burbs. Although you never know these days with all the refugee programs going on.
This is true. Some soul cooking or whatever it's called.
Spirit cookers.
Spirit cooking, yeah.
Cannibals. You've got only pineapple swappers already in the burbs.
That's the shopping cart thing, right?
Yeah. That's how you tell if you're a swinger.
You put a pineapple in the front of your cart or the back of your cart? Does it matter?
I don't think it matters.
So if you're shopping for
what about pineapple? Because sometimes I put in pineapple chunks. I don't mean to send off any. I'm not interested in swapping with anybody's husband.
What if you're just a fan of the pineapple and you're, just hungry for some pineapple? Just hold it in your hand.
I don't know. You're on your own. Tough darts.
Order online.
Yeah, order it online. Go to Webvan, Peapod. There's so many, Kroger.com, so many services. I think I would recommend the cannibals eat my my glutes.
Bold choice.
Although that could be a slow cooking thing too. For grilling, I would say my, the lumbar, the tenderloin.
Oh, the lower back.
Yeah, I have good tenderloins, like the muscles that protect your spine up and down. That would be your tenderloin.
Plus that, you don't have one of those tramp stamps. They don't have to eat around the butterfly like they would on some people.
No. Do you know that among cattle, I researched this. Do you know that among cattle, the USDA stamp is considered a tramp stamp?
Wow.
Yeah. I learned that. I found that out reading some animal husbandry manuals.
What else did you learn from reading such material?
Nothing
That's
else.
it? That's the only piece?
The only thing I remember. It's so remarkable.
It's funny when you mention 2016 in retrospect. I always like the New Year's Eve part where they talk about all the people that died. So you can remember them.
You
one
like
last
that.
time.
You look forward to that.
I
The
do.
death.
Because I always inevitably, there's like 2 or 3 people. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot they died. And then years later, I'm like, is this person still alive?
Mm-hmm.
Like Julie Andrews yesterday at our holiday party.
So it's kind of like show prep for you in future conversations
exactly.
about death, about celebrities and death. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Not a bad expenditure of time.
See, who do we lose this year?
Who did die this year? Let's go over them. Let's say, okay, let's play a game. You call out a person who died this year, and I say if that's a good thing that they're gone or a bad thing.
David Bowie.
Bad.
Muhammad Ali.
Bad.
Fidel Castro.
Good.
Patty Duke.
Bad. Well, she was a really troubled woman, Patty Duke.
She made it to 69. Not too shabby. John Glenn.
Bad that he's gone. I didn't like what they did to him on Dancing with the Stars.
He was on that show? Oh.
Some years ago. I don't know, maybe 6 years ago or something. I don't like what they did to him.
What did they do to him?
Well, they kicked him off. Like Len was yelling at him. 82-year-old John Glenn, you don't have what it takes.
You have 2 left feet.
You have 2 left feet. I forgot what exactly he said, but it sounded something, it came off as crass and gross because John Glenn is an American hero.
Yeah.
And in keeping with the Obama years, everybody on TV has to on American heroes. And so that's what Len did. And I was like, who is this guy? He's a Brit yelling at John Glenn that he can't dance. Like, why'd you put him on the show? Dancing with the Stars. What did you think when you were planning the show that John Glenn would actually win? Nobody in their right mind would say that John Glenn is going to be able to win Dancing with the Stars. So it only...
They just wanted to mock the elderly?
That's the only thing. If the process of elimination of motives says, they wanted to mock John Glenn and make him look foolish. I just thought it was... sad. And the Brit was in on it. Such an anti-American spectacle. Poor John Glenn.
Florence Henderson.
Oh, that's a terrible, terrible loss.
Yeah.
She was just another all-American woman, just positive, full of zest and life. And she put up with the gay husband of hers. She put up a brave face knowing what he was doing in his architect's room, really. I mean...
And what goes down in that wood room stays in that wood room.
Yeah. But she, she never let on. She never cried about it. She just, stiff upper lip and soldiered on with her household chore. I don't even know what Carol Brady did during the day.
Yeah.
What was her thing? She got up in the morning and did what? Alice is doing the laundry.
Yeah, I was going to say,
breakfast.
Alice is, she's basically parenting the children.
You would see Carol Brady sit down, chow down with the kids and Mike before he goes off to his architect's room. I don't know if he had an office at one point, but he started work telecommute. But she, I don't know what she did all day. What did she do? Did she play tennis? Did she play like whatever California's version of Alta was? Did she? Did she quilt? Was she an activist for feminism? I don't know. I don't know what Carol Brady. She didn't have a job, right?
I think she was too pretty to be a feminist.
Did she just drive around in her station wagon all day, waiting till she was like the first Uber mom?
Maybe.
Wait till the kids call to pick them up, and
well, it was only 20 minutes later, so she could have just kind of took a long shower.
Well, some of the episodes spanned days, but they just gave a 20-minute presentation. It was like when Bobby was the school safety and everybody hated on him. That was a process that took a few weeks.
With like the hall monitor, basically?
Yeah, when he was the safety monitor.
That's a terrible thing to encourage kids to be.
Nazis?
Yeah, because don't do it.
Did you have safeties in your school when, yeah, that still persists, huh?
They had that little vest, looked like a yellow Miss America vest.
Yeah, they were the first social justice warriors. I hated those kids. They were always the dorkiest.
Get back to class.
Kids with no power, no social power.
Yeah.
There's the one kid named Lance. That was who the school safety was. I forgot his last name. I don't want to say it because he's probably still alive and can hear this, and he's probably changed remarkably.
Sure.
could be with the FBI now, for all I know. But he was, this kid Lance was, he was awkward, and he had no social skills. He had no friends, and so he put on, he put on that neon orange safety belt. And
turned into a Power Ranger, huh?
He turned into something else. He turned into something like out of a Marvel comic book. And but he didn't know what he's doing. He's 8. He's going to tell me how to cross the street? No. I want a real adult, I never saw the point of deputizing these kids to... Well, that is the point, I guess, so they could snitch on the kids to the principal. Yeah.
But then they never have any friends. Then they turn into those mean cops that don't do it right.
Yeah, it's the adults who they think they know what's best for the kids, but they don't know that socially they're setting them up for just a big kick in the nuts.
Gwen Eiffel.
Well, I don't like to say anybody's death is good, but put it this way. I don't think she was a good person. That's all I'll say about that. I don't think she was a good person. I think she was part of the, she was on PBS and CBS, and she was a liar. She was in bed with the authority. She was wearing the safety. She was one of those. She was wearing the orange safety belt for the media team, for the Democrat team, all the time. I mean, she was just one of those biased, lying reporters. I don't know what she was as a person. I'm sure she was a sweet-tempered woman. I don't know. She could be a raging bitch. Throwing things, and with their public face and their private face, it's always two different things. So, Gwen Eiffel, I don't think anybody. Fidel Castro, that's a good death,
right?
Okay, she didn't rise to that level because she wasn't killing people. But I'm glad she's not a problem anymore.
That's pretty young, 61.
Yeah, she didn't take care of herself, I guess. I don't know.
Harper Lee,
the novelist.
Yes.
That's one I thought did die previously.
Yeah, I thought she was dead too. 90.
I don't know. I never read that book. I never read To Kill a Mockingbird, so I can't really give an opinion. All I can tell you is what other people think of, and most people think it's great. But I never read the book. I never watched the movie. So, yeah, no, that's a bad death. She made a great contribution to American literature and culture. So there you have it.
Yeah, that was one of those books we had to read as kids.
What did you think of it?
Basically, the lesson is don't judge the creepy neighbor because he'll end up being the nicest guy ever.
Is that what the message was?
Yeah.
I thought it was about race.
Boo Radley. Well, there was some race in there. Of course, every good book has a race war in it. But, yeah.
Boo Radley was the creepy, tardy-like guy who...
Yeah, the weird neighbor. Yeah. Kind of like The Burbs. Great movie, by the way.
You want to be nice to them is what they're preaching.
Yeah, and don't judge the neighbors.
Don't judge.
Yeah, exactly.
Why can't you judge?
Why shouldn't you? They live right next to you.
Why can't you judge anybody?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Based on the evidence available.
Yeah.
I think the message should be don't make be careful you don't make the wrong judgment based on the evidence.
Yeah.
Right.
But I would, before I moved in a house, if I had a child, I would look to see how many predators lived around me before I moved in.
Yeah, right. It makes sense. You should judge everybody. But you should judge fairly. But again, it's like, what do you care how I judge? If it doesn't hurt him, I just stay away from the guy because I think he's creepy. Everybody wins. I've judged. If I make the judgment that, well, he's creepy and I should do something about it, well, that's bad judgment.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you shouldn't judge because you might make bad judgments. So that's a stupid book. Screw that. But she, people like it, so I'm going to say she's not a bad death.
Arnold Palmer.
No, that's a terrible, terrible thing.
I mean, how many people have a drink named after him? Tom Collins, Arnold Palmer.
Who is Tom
Bloody
Collins?
Mary. He is
who is he?
I don't know who he is, but he has the vodka drink named after him, right?
Wait, was it an actual guy or just they just
don't know.
said
Let me
your
Google
name?
that.
Yeah, Google that.
I should have came prepared.
Yeah, I don't know why you're giving me all these topics and you don't know anything about them.
It's
makes me feel like I got to do all the work.
It's a cocktail made from gin. Pardon me, No, I'm not going to donate to Wikipedia. Stop.
Yeah, I keep getting that.
Gin, lemon. Yeah, they want me to give $3.
More money.
I'm not going to give. First of all, if I give $3, it means I have to give you my credit card number. Not going to happen.
Right, and the people behind Wikipedia, in my opinion, are evil.
Boo
and
Radley.
by the way, I don't need Wikipedia. If you didn't exist, somebody else would fill the void for information. It's called the internet. There's a lot of sources of information. What do you think? You're the only one? If we don't give me $3-4 because if we don't have the Wikipedia, the world will cease to exist. It's not buying it. Sorry.
Our editors are starving, but for $3 a day.
Yeah, but God, they probably rake in so much money and skim it and give it to bad causes. That's the problem. I think they have an accounting problem.
What if Wikipedia, we come to find in 25 years, funded ISIS with these $3
I know they
donations?
did. I don't have to wait 25 years. Of course, they're all in. All these lefty groups. They fund everything. It's an oil laundering scheme. Anyway, what did you find out about Tom Collins? Was he a real guy?
Well, it's based off of a 1891 British physician, Sir Morrell Mackenzie. He wrote an article.
But who is Tom Collins, though? Wasn't an actual guy.
The title of the song was Jim Collins.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's a bad example.
Too much history behind
Arnold
this.
Palmer is a real guy.
John Collins. Let's see here.
Fuck Tom Collins. I'm off of that. I don't care.
It's a hoax.
Right. There's got to be other drinks that are named after real people, aren't there? I don't.
Yeah,
think
Bloody Mary. She was a pirate. You say her name 10 times in a dark room. Apparently, the
I
demon
thought that
of
was
Bloody
like
Mary.
a Queen of England.
Maybe. Well, she was a pirate too, wasn't she? She double agent some sort.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a bad.
I don't know. If you're queen, that's a full-time job. I don't think you can moonlight as a pirate.
But
I
then
think it wasn't like Mary, Queen of Scots, so she cut people's heads off.
Sure.
A lot. I mean, she did it more than other queens and kings.
She knew what she wanted out of life. You know?
She was the number one beheader in the history of England, so did Bloody Mary. But that's a real person. I can't think of anymore.
Well, Arnold Palmer, I mean, when you mix sweet tea and lemonade, that's when the magic happens. It's a double boost of sugar. It's beautiful.
I think we got to invent some drinks. Like, I'm gonna invent the Paul Newman.
What would that be? Overpriced salad dressing? I mean, come on, man. What would it be?
I don't know. What do we know about Paul Newman? He was a cool guy.
I have to involve some absinthe or something in there.
He was a cool guy, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, what else? He was handsome, right?
Yeah, throw some talcum powder in that drink.
He was a good actor.
Charitable.
All right, so we have to make a drink that is charitable, acts well, cool as a cucumber, maybe some cucumber flavoring.
But maybe we could double it as a drink / salad dressing in his honor, because he does have all those Newman's.
Well, he already has salad dressings named after him.
So this is
an adult beverage, or it's just a beverage named after Paul Newman. So if he's cool, you got to put cucumber in there, right? Some cucumber.
And what drink goes really well with a cucumber?
I don't know what.
Have to be either gin or vodka.
Gin.
Gin would probably be better.
A splash of gin.
Mm-hmm.
And then what are his other attributes? He's a good actor.
Maybe some tonic because it's easygoing.
That ties in with good actor. Like when I say good actor, it has to be easy on your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be a bad actor in your digestive system.
Right.
So so we got cucumber, gin. What'd you just say?
Tonic.
A cucumber, gin, and tonic. That's like a gin and tonic, but we'll call it a Paul Newman.
Sure.
All right, that works.
There's various spins on vodka cranberry. Why can't we do it with him? In his honor.
Right.
Moving on down the line here. Prince. Wow.
Prince.
Almost forgot about that one.
Yeah. Well, that caused a lot of uproar. A lot of people are upset by Prince's death, including his drug dealer, because he lost a lot of business.
Mm-hmm.
I like Prince, but I didn't love Prince. I liked him. I liked some of his songs, but overall, I thought he was annoying.
Annoying? Why?
I mean, his whole act, he's so aloof and above it all, and he's this tiny little guy. I just didn't. I didn't dig his whole act. Like he acted like somebody from another culture.
I could see why you'd say that. Sure.
And his message was kind of goofy. What was his message?
It was kind of random.
Yeah, it was random.
Little red Corvettes and Purple Rain.
It was about, I think Prince's whole thing was, I want to screw as many women as possible to make up for my short stature, to show people I'm a real man. But I'm going to couch in all kinds of metaphysical meanderings, and I saw him on Larry King one time, and it looked like he couldn't put together a sentence without great fear. He's just very fearful, shy people. What's up with them?
I don't know. He's pretty brilliant musically, though.
Musically, yeah, but I think socially he was just rock bottom.
Yeah, most musicians, though, are socially awkward, right?
Most, I don't know about that. Maybe. I don't know.
They're kind of different.
50%?
You know, they think on a different, not level. I'm not saying they're better than us.
Nah,
but
I see, because Huey Lewis and the News, no. Beatles, no. Stones, they weren't meek. They weren't mild.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Point negated.
Bruno Mars. He's not shy. Like, I think Bruno Mars and Prince share the same musical chops, but Bruno Mars is more outgoing socially, does more cocaine.
the social drug.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to be super social on the plant. You can't really experience the Mary and get super social unless you get the right strand, and that's hard to come by.
Yeah, so Prince, that's bad. That's a bad death.
Nancy Reagan.
That's a bad death.
Ah, I forgot about that one, too, back in March.
She was a great lady. But now she can eat zombies' brains, Democrat zombies' brains with her husband.
And her husband, co-zombie, right? Zombie Ronald Reagan?
Yes.
Mr. President, it's an honor to have you in One's World.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
You were great.
I've been eating Democrat brains for quite some time now.
You must have, that's not really a nutritious diet.
It worked, though. It worked. President, what's his face?
Mr. Carter?
President Clump, he won because we ate all the Democrats' brains.
President Trump, you mean?
Trump.
President?
Yes.
Are you worried that you're going to have to get through that?
Fine young woman.
Well, he does have some fine young daughters, Mr. President.
Whoa.
When they die, I think you got a buffet on your hands right there.
No, Nancy's eating Democrat brains right and left because she's eligible. Now, Nancy Reagan's, it's a bad death. She was a nice lady.
Speaking of another man dying, Janet Reno.
Oh boy, she was a bad one. She burned all those people at Waco for no reason.
Wow.
Yeah, she killed them all for no reason, and so that's a good death. Glad she's not around anymore. She was a bad person.
Justice Scalia.
Well, that's a terrible death. I think he was murdered, but that's just me. I have very little evidence to support. It's just my hunch.
Pat Summitt.
That's the female basketball coach, right?
Correct.
Yeah, no, that's a bad death. She was a good woman. Brought her knowledge and joy to so many young women.
I might be mispronouncing this, so forgive me. Elie Wiesel or Eli Wiesel?
Elie Wiesel.
Elie Wiesel, okay.
He was the Holocaust guy?
Mm-hmm. Survived Auschwitz.
Yeah, well, he survived.
Buchenwald.
He survived death like 3 times. He cheated death so many times. So, just goes to show you that death always wins. Always.
Oh, this one struck everybody pretty hard. Gene Wilder. That's a bad one.
That is a bad one. Yeah. His portrayal of Willy Wonka's legendary. It sits with me to this day. When I win something, I love saying to people, "You lose." "Good day, sir." "I said good day, sir." "You lose." Just those 2 words right there. Just the way he said them, Gene Wilder. He brought like a syncopated rhythm to his acting, like kind of like what's his face, Jeff Goldblum.
Wow.
He's kind of like Gene Wilder. I like his cadences. "You lose." "You lose." "You get nothing."
Alan Thicke.
Oh, that just happened. Holy cow.
Yeah, man.
That frightened me because he was 69 in perfect health, and I'm getting closer to the 60s, and it's like, and then I think, like, if I worry about my health, I'm definitely going to have a heart attack. So I got to stop worrying about it. I got to stop.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it really is.
Robert Vaughn.
Is that the Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
It was the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
I didn't watch that show, but he's pleased a lot of people. Can't say it was a good death at all.
Leonard Cohen.
I'm not a good death.
John Saunders.
I don't know who that is. Oh, the ESPN guy.
Yeah.
He was likable. Yeah, good guy. Bad death.
Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe, the ageless hockey wonder.
Correct.
That's a bad death.
Oh.
I'm not happy to see him go. I'm not happy to see anybody go except the ones I said.
Merle Haggard.
No, that's a bad, terrible death.
We're getting into
Didn't
something.
have to happen.
Gary Shandling.
Gary Shandling. That was a terrible death. Gary Shandling is just a master.
Maurice White.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Correct.
Gonna tell a story, morning glory, all about the serpentine fire. You will da-da-da-da-da-da-da, oh, with the serpentine fire. That serpentine fire could do everything. And I went to see Earth, Wind, and Fire back in the 70s when they're at their peak.
Nice.
Even before they had like 4 of their hits, I went to see Earth, Wind, and Fire. I went to the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. It was the closest venue to my home in Baltimore. And I was like one of maybe 8 white people there. It held 15,000 people.
Yeah.
I was one of 8 white people at the Earth, Wind, and Fire concert. But those were the good old days when people got along. Everybody was smoking weed together. They passed it along. It smelled like Columbia in there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It was so beautiful, and everybody was clapping. And there was no strife. There was no mess. Everybody behaved pretty well. It was not a fearful place to be for me. I mean, other white people obviously stayed away, but this is before Earth, Wind, and Fire was kind of favorite. I think white people like Earth, Wind, and Fire now more than black people do.
Sure.
It's totally flipped.
Wow.
But I went there when I was like a pioneer for white people. I was the one who said when I was 16, like, no, you got to get on this Earth, Wind, and Fire bandwagon. They're going to be big, white people.
You called it?
Yeah. You're going to be dancing to them at your bar mitzvahs in the future. Trust me.
Glenn
did.
Glenn Fry.
That was the worst death of 2016, in my opinion.
The earliest, too, what? January 18th?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just saddens me because Glenn Fry, you know why he died, right?
No, tell me.
He had ulcerative colitis.
Ugh.
Which I believe can be controlled somewhat by diet. I don't know if it would have cured him, but if he just stopped eating processed foods, he would have lived a little bit longer.
Of course, the article blames it on drug use during the band's early years, but
well, I mean, there's
maybe
something to be said for a little bit of that. But I mean, how come Joe Walsh didn't get? Joe Walsh is a bigger junkie than Glenn Fry. I think Glenn Fry drank and smoked some weed, maybe did some coke, mild stuff by rock standards. Joe Walsh was like putting needles into his veins. And toes and everywhere. He put needles everywhere. But I went to see them in Madison Square Garden in 2014 on their tour.
Wow.
And boy, I'm glad we got in. I watched the Eagles documentary like 4 times now at this point. It's just to listen to him lay it down like, all right, look, not everybody in the team gets to touch the ball. Like how he dealt with difficult people like Don Felder and Don Henley too was a very difficult human being. But those two made it happen. I'm sure they had their squabbles, but they kept it private. Like that whole time when they were off the grid until '94, from like what is it, 81 to '94, they disappeared.
Yeah,
and all that time, I'm sure they hated each other, but they never made it public. It's like we're not doing that anymore. We're going to go on our solo careers. I really admired the way he handled difficult people and difficult situations on the world stage. I think they're the greatest band in the history of modern pop music.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no doubt. They're just a pure American band. They're a part of Americana. If you want to include Americana and include today's music, not just the bluegrass of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou nowadays, I think you got to put Eagles into the Americana category. They put the classic in classic rock.
So that's 2016 in a nutshell. And, of course, 2017.
A look back.
Yeah.
With your friends Joey Wensler and Larry WACHS.
What's going on, KLRN radio family? This is the Wens. As you know, at Radio Griff and yours truly have been going toe-to-toe, at each other's necks, at each other's throats for this NFL season, predictions and such. Week 16 is behind us. January 1st is ahead, which brings in Week 17, the final week of the regular season. At Radio Griff entered Week 16 ahead of the Wens by 1 game, 129-97 to 128-98. So, hindsight is always 20/20, and of course, it's always fun to look back and laugh at ourselves as we know how right or how wrong we were. In this case, let's hope that the Wens was right and at Radio Griff was wrong. After the segment, we'll look ahead toward Week 17. I hope you enjoy.
Sports? That's what I'm talking about.
Week 16 is here, and at Radio Griff kicked my ASS last week. How did you do it?
I don't know. I didn't even realize how well I did until you told me.
Yeah, 12-4.
I'm smarter than I know.
You are smarter than you know, and a lot smarter than the Wens here because
that's the truth.
And I only went 7-9. So at Radio Griff is up to scale 129-97 to my 128-98. But the Thursday night game approaches. We are only hours away, and I plan on recouping and regaining. And what's another good R to come back here?
Resurging.
I love it. I love it. And I'm going to be rejuvenated after my choice for Thursday night, which I will allow Radio Griff to go first here because this could somehow factor my decision that I'll choose the Eagles.
Yeah, of course you're going to choose the Eagles. And guess what? I'm choosing the Giants.
Oh.
The team, their defense is great. They look like the Giants of old. You know, they do this every 4 years or so. They make a run at it, and here they go again. All out of nowhere. Here are the Giants.
Figures. Well, they have a lot more to play for too. Philly can somewhat play spoilers, although I don't think the Giants are going to lose a playoff seat right now. I think they're first in the wild card, so we'll have to see how that pans out. Advantage the Wens. Let's see. Dolphins on the road at Buffalo taking on the Bills. Who you got?
Man, this is kind of like on paper. This seems kind of like a boring game, but Dolphins was old Matt Moore. Is that his name?
What
Moore?
A game.
Yeah, he might look a little better than Tannehill. I don't know, man. And I think this is an absolute must-win game for Rex Ryan. Like if he wants to keep his job. I hear things that are in turmoil in Buffalo. He can't lose this game, especially at home if he wants to stay employed. But I think Rex is going to come through. I'll take the Bills.
Bold choice there. Although I do think it's a must-win for Double R, I think Double M of the Dolphins, that is Matt Moore, will prevail here. And I think the Dolphins need to win to stay in the AFC playoff hunt.
Now they're done. Come on. Come on.
We'll see. Look, that I don't know if they can. Obviously, they're not going to catch up to the Pats. But, this is a division game, and I think they're going to win. Advantage the Wens. Let's see. The Jets on the road taking on the said Patriots.
Patriots. Let's move on.
Yeah. Both are correct. Titans on the road at Jacksonville.
The Titans, man, interesting team. I'm kind of like my Niners aren't good this year. Maybe the worst team in football.
Right.
If it weren't for the Browns. I've kind of taken the Titans on as the team I'm rooting for a little bit. I like what they have going on there.
I can see that.
And I think they have the easiest road in the AFC South to winning that division because they play the Jags this week. Ooh. The Jags who just fired their coach. It's on the road in Jacksonville. I like the Titans in this game to set up a big AFC South matchup, Week 17 in Nashville, Houston versus Tennessee for the division. So if Tennessee wants that to happen, they pretty much need to win this game. And I like their chances.
Keen insight there by @RadioGriff on Twitter. Hashtag play for Gus, no longer trending as he was let go by the Jaguar sideline officials. Yeah, I got to go with Tennessee on the road here. No question about it. Both are wrong. Minnesota taking on the division rival Green Bay Packers.
Oh, my goodness. Aaron Rodgers called it, and he's delivering.
Yep.
And I think he's going to keep on delivering. Packers are going to win this game. And, dude, again, big matchup Week 17 against the Lions.
Oh, man.
Most likely to see who wins the division.
For all the marbles.
And Aaron Rodgers, man. Oh.
That discount double check is ferocious.
That throw last week, the 60-yard pass to Jordy. Holy smokes.
Yeah, dude. And he's capable of that. Right. Every game. He's never out of a game.
Ty Montgomery.
Yeah.
Running back. They're coming on, man. Watch out for the Pack.
Here we go. San Diego at the winless Cleveland Browns.
Will the Browns win a game this year? When's the last time a team went defeated?
I don't know.
Was it the Lions? I know the Lions did 5-10 years ago, something like that. I feel like right before Stafford came aboard. So will the Browns be the first team to do it since then? I think the chances are pretty good because I think the Chargers are going to win this game.
And if I didn't say, wow, okay. If I didn't say before, I believe the Packers are going to win that game. But I think the discount double check throwback there was my pick. Yeah, for sure. Both are correct. I'm going to take the upset here. I still believe Cleveland's going to get a win, and it might be at the expense of the Chargers. So there it is. I'm probably going to regret that decision as usual. Advantage the Wens. Redskins at Bears. A must-win for Washington.
What happened to Washington last week?
I don't know. They just didn't play well.
They didn't. I was very surprised by that. I thought they were one of those teams that was getting hot at the right time and could throw up 35 points on anybody. And then last week, nothing, man.
Flat.
But I do think they bounce back this week. I like the Redskins against just not a very good Chicago team, even though they played the Packers tough, but they always play the Packers tough. Division rivalry, whatever.
Sure.
I like the Skins in this game.
I'm going to go against the home team here in Chicago. Even though Matt Barkley's starting, a future Hall of Famer, not. I'm going to go with Strager's finest, Kirk Cousins on the road here, and take the Redskins as well.
Both are correct.
Atlanta Falcons on the road at division rival Carolina Panthers, who had a hell of an outing last week.
The Panthers playing spoiler for real.
Yep.
They're not making the playoffs, but hey, I don't know if they want the Falcons to make the playoffs either.
Right.
I know the Falcons are going to lose this game.
Wow.
The Falcons I've read some stuff this week. The Falcons are scared. They're not taking this game lightly, even though they're, have been the better team all season.
Sure.
I like the Panthers. I don't like Cam, but I like Cam in this game against Matty Ice.
Yeah, Matty Ice and co have to win out for, to make sure they secure a playoff seed. But I'm going to take the Falcons on the road. I think they know what they have to do. I know. I don't like them either, but I hope Cam wins. But
advantage the wins.
Indy taking on the Oakland Raiders.
Ooh, lots of implications in this game, all
Indeed.
kinds of different ways. But I think the Raiders are going to win this game. Andrew Luck, he's the only player on that team, and he can only carry them for so long.
Right.
It's in Oakland. They're going to be fired up in Oakland, man, trying to secure that 2 seed. The last week, they clinched a playoff spot.
Yep.
Well, they're still fighting for that. The Oakland Raiders, the 2 seed.
Who would have thunk?
It can happen.
Yep.
Wow. I like the Raiders.
Me too. Absolutely.
Both are correct.
Tampa Bay on the road at division rival Nolans Saints.
I'll pick the Bucks in this game, I guess.
Yeah, me too.
Just
man.
to make it interesting.
Right.
Because I think they can still fight the Falcons for that division. I like the Bucks.
Why not? They have a lot to play for. Although I wouldn't count Drew Brees out to play spoiler in some capacity.
He had like a career game last week,
He
right?
always does. He's like 800 yards and they still lose.
Both are wrong.
Arizona, almost said St. Louis. Not baseball, folks. This is football. Arizona on the road taking on the division rival Seattle Seahawks.
I like the Seahawks in this game. It's in Seattle. Not many teams go there and win, even though that's changed a little bit recently. But
For sure.
Seattle playing for more. Arizona's done. Rumors that Carson Palmer might retire, might hang it up.
Wow.
Hello, Tony Romo, maybe. Huh?
Indeed. Could be.
I like the Hawks, though.
Yeah, me too. I think they still have a lot to play for as well as far as the playoff seeding goes.
Both are wrong.
Your 49ers
yeah.
taking on division rival I did it again.
Come on.
Los Angeles Rams.
Come on. I say it every week. And I'm not too far off this week. I think there's a legit shot that 49ers could win this game. Let's be real. There was no shot they were going to beat the Falcons last week.
No.
They can't stop the run whatsoever. No. Rams aren't a good football team. Goff looks like a mess. I don't know what's going on with that guy. Gurley, what happened to him? So I think Colin Kaepernick and the boys are going to go down there to L.A. and get their second win.
Hashtag celebrate socialism, Colin Kaepernick. Will probably get the win on the road here. That's what the Wins thinks, at least. And, why not? I picked the Niners there.
Both are correct.
Cincinnati taking on the Houston Texans.
Savage.
Yeah,
Savage move last week, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man.
The better quarterback, Brock, 30-something million guaranteed on the bench. Holy smokes.
Yep.
Texans, they're still fighting for that division. And, like I said earlier, setting up a great matchup in Tennessee, Week 17 for the division.
Oof.
So because of that, I think the Texans are going to win at home and go up to Tennessee and face them, and it's going to be a great matchup. They got their new quarterback. They're fired up, man. So I think the Texans will win this game.
Yeah, Brock, what a bust there. And I am super excited about that Week 17 slobber knocker between Tennessee and Houston. I'm going to take the Texans at home here. Cincinnati is nothing to play for, and Texans are still red hot. Hashtag play for JJ has been a successful trend on Twitter, mind you.
Both are correct.
Moving to another Sunday 4:30 game. This one, I believe, is going to be on the NFL Network, if I'm not mistaken. Baltimore on the road, division rival Steelers. This is going to be a freaking slobber knocker.
One of those old school games, man, on Christmas Day, Christmas afternoon.
Love it.
I picture it being kind of gloomy, some snowflakes falling on it's frozen tundra.
Yep.
It's going to be an intense game. And in a game like that, I look at the two quarterbacks. Who seems more like the tough guy who's going to come through and win a game like that? It ain't Joe Flacco, I'll tell you that.
His college mascot was a hen. A fighting hen. Those things are very rough and tough.
I like old Big Ben Dirty Burger. He's going to come through for the Steelers, man, and I think the Steelers win this game.
I'm going to take Baltimore on the road here.
Oh.
Hey, Flacco and co. in December, you don't want to mess with him. He's ferocious. Those eyebrows grow out even thicker.
Advantage Griffin.
The 8:30 Sunday game, Denver on the road at Kansas City, taking on the Chefs with an I in front of the E.
The Chefs, yeah. I don't think the Broncos can score points.
No,
they can't run the ball. They have some decent receivers, but they don't have anyone who can throw it to those receivers.
Right.
Chiefs defense is good. Arrowhead, tough place to play. They gave up a game to, was it Tennessee last week, right?
Yep.
I don't think they're going to lose twice in a row at home. It's just not going to happen. Chiefs are going to win this game.
For sure. I'm with you on that.
Both are correct.
And our Monday night special with uber playoff implications as the Detroit Motor City Mad Men Lions take on Dem Boys in Big D.
I think this is kind of the national coming out game for Matthew Stafford. He's going to go down to Dallas. Dallas playing like a primetime game, always. But I think Stafford and the Lions, they're going to win this game. They're going to go to the Cowboys. They're still fighting for that division against the Packers. Going to set up a huge matchup between the Packers and Lions for that division. I like the Lions.
Yeah, I agree. Look, Detroit is a super hot team right now, and again, they have to win this game to stay in it to play Green Bay for the NFC North title. So I'm going to take Detroit on the road here to defeat Dak and company.
Both are wrong.
Watch out for those Salvation Army kettles.
Yeah, and
Zeke.
real quick side note, that goon, Roger Goodell, also, in addition to finding Zeke Elliott for said stunt to raise awareness for a fantastic freaking charity, the Salvation Army, has just fined Odell Beckham as well.
I saw that.
For his tribute to Craig Sager, the cleats he wore that he was going to sell at auction to raise awareness for freaking leukemia. What is wrong with Goodell, you goon, you... Wow, I just went there. Sorry.
You did.
It's
beyond ridiculous. The NFL makes no sense. It's a dictatorship.
It is.
I don't understand it. Sometimes they let things go. The other time they're fine. Craig Sager, like the nicest, most beloved sports figure of our generation.
Best dressed as well, might I add.
That's true. And the dude's trying to do a good thing, and then... come on.
And they say they're all about player safety, but then a player will get a $40,000 fine, but no flag thrown during the game.
Right.
Like, if you're going to fine them, flag them, and vice versa.
Right.
So, anyway, that's that. I am a game behind at Radio Griff. Let's see if I can turn the tables this week and get over 140. I'll have to win 12, so we'll see how that pans out.
Not happening.
Merry Christmas to the at Radio Griff family.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa, which starts on the 26th. Happy Kwanzaa to all those who celebrate. And a Happy New Year, and we'll talk next week.
Break.
My, how the tables have turned. After week 16, yours truly, the Wens here, is ahead of at Radio Griff on Twitter by a count of 139 and 103 to 137 and 105. But I shall not get too cocky because week 17 remains and a lot can happen from week to week. As they say, any given Sunday. So we'll check back after next week with the results of the regular season standings and a look toward the playoffs. Also, a look back before week 1 when the Wens and at Radio Griff made their postseason predictions. That ought to be interesting. Thanks for listening.
Excellent!
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.